And thank you to Jane for asking me to participate in this session this evening in honor and support of Love Actually charity. A very good charity it is too. I've done my research. To honor the Chinese New Year, Chinese Lunar Festival, sorry, not the Chinese New Year, we've already had that, I'll recite and then briefly interpret a poem of William Butler Yeats that may be less famous than the Lake Isle of Innisfree, but I think is similarly very important, and I'll try and tell you why. The poem, The Cat and the Moon. Now, the poem was written over 100 years ago in 1917, when Yeats was staying with the love of his life, Maud Gonne, in Normandy, France, and her daughter was there as well. The Gonne family had a black Persian cat, and the cat's name was Minalouche. You know, you'll hear that name, Minalouche, in the poem. So the poem is based around a real cat. Now, Jackie, nobody wants to see me anymore. Could you please show us the picture, a beautiful illustration by Shona MacDonald, as I recite the poem, The Cat and the Moon. The cat went here and there, and the moon spun round like a top. And the nearest kin of the moon, the creeping cat, looked up. Black Minalouche stared at the moon, for wander and wail as he would, the pure cold light in the sky troubled his animal blood. Minalouche runs in the grass, lifting his delicate feet. Do you dance, Minalouche? Do you dance? When two close kindred meet, what better than call a dance? Maybe the moon may learn, tired of that courtly fashion, a new dance turn. Minalouche creeps through the grass, from moonlit place to place. The sacred moon overhead has taken a new phase. Does Minalouche know that his pupils will pass from change to change, and that from round to crescent, from crescent to round they range? Minalouche creeps through the grass, alone, important and wise, and lifts to the changing moon his changing eyes. You can see me again now. This poem talks about families, and how appropriate is that for the Chinese Lunar Festival, which, as we've already heard, is much about families coming together. But in this poem, the family at its center is not the kind that you normally think of, a human family. Instead, the imagination of the poet takes us beyond what is merely human. And it's the family of the cat and the moon, who the poet refers to as close kindred. They are related. And when we look at these two family members, the cat and the moon, very carefully, we can see that their family relationship is pictured in terms of a series of opposites. The black cat, the white moon, the cat below on the earth, the moon above in the heavens. The cat's blood, by implication hot, stirred up by the cold light of the moon. The cat, male, in relation to the moon, female. And the association, of course, of the female with the moon is both a Western and an Eastern tradition. I can the goddess of the moon in Chinese mythology. So this poetic family is made up of black, white, earth, heaven, hot, cold, male, female. It's a family of opposites. But here is where Yeats's poem takes a remarkable and an exciting turn towards the same insight that was captured in the ancient Chinese philosophy of the Tao. Yeats was certainly not a Taoist, 他不是道士, but his poem evokes Taoist perceptions and insights. Let me just explain how. The opposites in the poem that I've already explained to you do not actually contradict each other. Instead, they complement and fulfill each other. They are in tension, but also they are in union. You see, there are elements of the cat in the moon and elements of the moon in the cat. The moon is taught a new way to dance by watching the cat's movements, and the cat's pupils, the pupils of its eyes, change from round and wide to narrow, a narrow crescent of a slit, just as the moon changes from full and round to narrow crescent through her phases. So in effect, we have here the perception, I would suggest, in Yeats of something that you'll be familiar with. If I can hold my phone, my glowing moonlight phone, you'll see the diagram of the yin-yang, the union of opposites. And here we have then a remarkable synergy in Yeats's poem, a perception in the West, of a perception also in the East, that though in tension, there is union. And I will conclude what I'm saying tonight with something very specifically Chinese. I am very, very passionate about Chinese ceramics. 我爱中国陶瓷. And let me show you this. This is a vase even older, not Song Dynasty, but even older than Yeats. This vase was made in China in the 17th century. You can see it's got decoration on it. If I hold it like this and then steadily turn it like this, you're going to see, I hope, if my fingers are not in the way, a cat looking at the moon. I hope you can see that. So here we have East and West coming together, a Chinese cat and the moon, an Eastern one, a Western cat and the moon in Yeats, and both of them members of the same family. 谢谢。